Back in the 50s, we'd never had it so good, although some of us had never had it at all. Great Britain was going to get greater. Everyone was going to have cars and money. So they took a load of Geordies, Scots and Cockneys out of the rundown mines and the shipyards and dumped them in the middle of green and pleasant England. They built a new town and called it Telford. Their kids were going to grow up happy, healthy and well paid, making car door seals for British Leyland. 20 years later.
My name's Henry. I've lived in Madeley over 32 years now. I live on Sutton Hill, which is the first built housing estate in the area, and obviously I've seen quite a few changes, some for the better, some for the worse.
Do you think they've ruined it, or do you think it's improved it?
I think it's improved it. It's brought a lot more custom to the area. When it was the old Summerfield, and I don't think there was a lot of people there, but now there seems to be a lot more people.
Hello and welcome to part 3 of Telford, the New Town, the Essential Guide. In this episode we focus on the area of Madeley. The settlement of Madeley is mentioned in the Domesday Book and was founded prior to the 8th century. It then became a bustling small market town in the 13th century. Most of the land in the manor of Madeley belonged to the Church of Wenlock throughout the Middle Ages. After the dissolution of the monasteries, it passed to the Crown in 1540. In 1544, it was sold to Robert Brooke, a prominent lawyer and politician. Over the centuries, Madeley grew into a town that had its own high street and many independent shops. At the heart of Madeley is the Anstice Working Men's Club and Institute. This beautiful building was constructed for the Madeley community in 1868. The building was named after John Anstice, a well-respected mine owner and philanthropist. The Anstice is known for its outstanding ballroom. In the 1970s, the club was hugely popular with around 3,000 members at its peak. This building has been the centre of the most dramatic changes over the years. In 1963, plans were underway for the Madeley precinct. This would eventually serve the proposed housing estates of Sutton Hill and Woodside. The plan consisted of 40,000 square feet of shops, offices, a new bypass and 41 new homes. Also within the plans was a new pub, 2 supermarkets and a range of 20 smaller shops. By 1968, Madeley Centre was one large building site. The main activity was focused around the Anstice Hall. This beautiful building was retained, as well as 2 large horse chestnut trees. They stood in Russell Square. A new library was built above a brand new large co-op supermarket. This replaced a smaller cooperative supermarket on Park Street. Phase 1 of the Madeley precinct was opened in September 1969 by the MP Dennis Howell. Also, excitingly that year, the famous actress Pat Phoenix, who played Elsie Tanner in Coronation Street, opened the new co-op in Madeley. The 4 phases of Madeley Centre took 4 years to complete. On completion in 1972, there were 20 individual shops, 3 supermarkets, a job centre and many new offices. The new library was the largest in Solop at the time. Also at this time, house building was in progress, with 53 new homes being built at Mayfield. In 1972, Madeley Centre won an award for good design. Over the years, Madeley has seen enormous changes in retail trends. The co-op moved again to a larger purpose-built store within Madeley Centre, as another supermarket brand, namely Key Market, took up residence. Russell Square became host to a post office, newsagents and shoe shop, alongside Lloyds Bank and the famous Madeley Market. Other shops in Madeley included Stanton's Bakery, a wallpaper shop and Hughes & Home DIY, to name a few.
One thing I have noticed is Madeley. I think Madeley, out of a lot of the areas, has gone through the biggest upheaval. It's actually, as you can see, has changed quite a lot I mean, Madeley was actually one of the first precincts in Telford to be built, and you can see now it's almost changed, unrecognisable. We can recognise the two buildings there, the library buildings, etc. But also, I actually lived in Madeley for a number of years, and I lived just over there, third door up over there, which was Meadowley in Madeley. It was a nice place to live, and that's what I love about Madeley, is that a lot of the housing is very close to the actual centre, but Madeley during the 70s and 80s was a very different place. You had a key market, which then become a gateway. You had a lot of the little shops in the mall there, which I think they've changed into individual shops, and a library as well, but it's been completely remodelled into what we see today, the modern Madeley today, with the big Tesco and everything. I suppose that's just progress, but I hope you can see from the photographs that how much Madeley and how far it's come.
In the 90s, the precinct idea was becoming tired, and Madeley precinct was showing signs of decay. In 2008, a new Madeley was planned by the local council. Within these plans were a new supermarket and a road through Madeley and new shops. In 2009, the bulldozers moved in and created the Madeley we know today. The High Street was left untouched, however Park Street was reinstated along its original route. The focus of the redevelopment was a modern Tesco store, a mall with smaller shops, and the refurbishment of Russell Square, which unfortunately required one of the iconic horse chestnut trees to be removed to create new library access. Madeley High Street is still home to many independent shops, including an optician's, a dentist and a beauty salon. Madeley High Street has retained much of its original character. Old and new blend together seamlessly. New Madeley is a thriving community within the bigger town, with people using the facilities from all over Telford.
Well, I come down to Madeley today to see what people think about Madeley and to see what people think about the new town. So I'm standing outside the Anstice here, one of the focal points of Madeley, and let's see what people think.
There was a large market and a large community here. Obviously it's now changed. We've got a big Tesco's and people tend to still meet around here. But yes, it's called progress, I think. Well, it's changed, obviously it has changed. You've got outside traffic now coming in because it is a big supermarket, Tesco's. And there is obviously, there's still small shops around the side here. Yeah. But yeah, it's a nice little area. It could do with a bit more, probably doing to it. I mean, the Anstice here is an old building, and it's now been taken over and they're doing. And they've made changes, obviously, by putting boards and that. What I would like to see maybe is a clock.
I'm Lydia Meredith and I'm from Madeley, Telford.
So how long have you lived in Telford for?
Around about 2 years.
2 years, so you're quite a newbie to Telford, aren't you?
Yeah.
So there's lots of people here who live in Madeley who have been in Madeley a long time.
So, what do you think about Madeley? Do you think it's a nice place?
Yeah, I quite like Madeley. There's quite a lot of facilities, so it's quite easy for people to get around.
Yeah.
There's good transportation, so it's easy to get to and from places. I like the closeness of the shops and the variety of shops. Like we've got Tesco, Lidl, Aldi. So it's a nice place.
So where do you go to school?
Madeley Academy.
So you've probably been told about the original school that used to be called Madeley Court School, which has been knocked down and they built things on it. So what do you think is, because that's a brand new school that is, so what's it like to be in a brand new school?
The building's really nice, always clean, the teachers are always friendly. There's like occasional things, but they're never really big things. Just the staff are just really helpful. The school's got a good atmosphere. It's just a nice place to be, with a great community.
So where did you move from before?
Lincolnshire Grammar School.
So this is a complete, it's a completely, well, we call it a new town.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite a fascinating, do you think it's a fascinating place to live?
Yeah, it's very different to where we used to live, that's for sure. It's more city-like in a way, even though people here think it's rural. It's definitely different, but it's a nice place.
Hello, my name's Kevin.
Okay.
I live at Madeley Court, Madeley.
Okay, so you're a Madeley man?
Yeah.
Okay, how long have you lived in Madeley
I've lived
for?
in Madeley for 55 years.
That isn't the longest person we've spoken to. That's pretty damn
I was born in Wolverhampton.
Yeah.
I lived in Madeley all my life.
So that's good going. So, Madeley. Now you have probably seen Madeley change like a lot of people haven't.
Yeah.
So, it from originally from when it was just a row of Victorian shops up the road.
That's right, yeah.
Which is just across the road there.
Down the bottom of Madeley, we used to have the Prince of Wales.
Yeah.
Prince of Wales pub. We used to have Caulfields in Madeley. We had Adams's. It used to be a shop just up by where the Park of the Bank is now. And Madeley has really changed since what we used to have when the old development, what it is now, where the Tesco's is. It is to the old shops. We used to have like the Madeley Mall here.
Yeah,
we used to have nice little shops in there, and you could get all sorts of stuff in there. But since this new town's come in, we haven't got a market.
Hello there. Hello. What's your name?
Gary.
And where are you from?
From Dawley.
Dawley.
Yeah.
Now, Dawley New Town. That's what it was called. So how long have you lived here?
38 years.
38 years. That's good going. So you're in Madeley today, doing a bit of shopping in Madeley.
Yeah. It's convenient.
So you live in Dawley.
Yeah.
But you're shopping in Madeley.
Yeah, well, Tesco's here. So.
Ah, you see. So I'm sure you, like me, have seen Madeley change completely over the years from a precinct, if you remember it.
Yeah, I remember the old pet shop.
So how well do you remember it? Where would you be standing now if, what would be behind you?
Behind me there'd be a row of shops. The old shoe shop.
That's it.
There's a shoe shop, there's a baker's oven. Jones and Meredith, the shoe shop. Yeah. M&G.
Hughes and Holmes.
Hughes and Holmes.
That's
I remember
it.
those.
So you'd be standing, right where you're standing now would have been the wall.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? And then behind it was all that planting and the fountains.
Yeah,
that's
the
right,
fountains.
isn't it? So that's all not here anymore, is it?
No.
So what do you think about Madeley now? When Tesco came, do you think they've ruined it, or do you think it's improved it?
I think it's improved it. It's brought a lot more custom to the area. When it was the old Summerfield, and I don't think there was a lot of people there, but now there seems to be a lot more people. It's a lot more convenient for people to get to. Tesco's prices are relatively good, so people are going to come to the area for that. But yeah, I think it's done good trade for the area, to be honest.
So what's your name?
Dorothy Coxon now, it was Haynes before.
And how long have you lived in Madeley?
I've recently, about 15 years.
Yes.
But I was born and brought up here 71 years ago.
So actually that makes you the oldest person I've spoken, oldest person who lived here the longest in Madeley.
Okay.
So you have seen the change of Madeley completely, haven't you? From it being, as you say, so what's the Madeley you remember initially with the high street, with running right the way through?
The friendship and fellowship, everybody here knew everybody, in the shops and everywhere, yes. The shops were good. But I was only little.
So then the precinct came, and obviously the new town came. So obviously that was a great upheaval for Madeley, because obviously they changed it completely from completely recognition. So what did you think of the precinct that was here that they brought?
Terrible thought.
Yeah.
You couldn't get through at all, could you?
My name's Carol Russell. I've got a sweet shop in Madeley, Mrs Russell's Sweets and Treats, and it's a traditional sweet shop.
So you got the name Mrs Russell's.
Yes.
Yeah. So where did you get that name from?
That is my name.
That is so cool. But to me, you're in Russell Square ultimately, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong with that. That's just so ironic. I like that. So you've been here now for a couple of years.
2.5 years.
God,
yeah.
So how long have you do you live in Madeley, or are you?
I live in Shifnal.
In Shifnal.
Yeah.
So you come to work into it too.
Yeah.
So what's it like as a business in Madeley?
No, it's really good. Yeah, I've got a lot of loyal customers. I have quite a lot of people that come in most weeks, and I've made quite a few friends actually in Madeley. So yeah.
Do you feel there's still a community in Madeley? Do you feel still almost like you're part of that community?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, it's really good.
And how does Tesco affect your business? Obviously, because it's there within walking distance.
No, Tesco's are fine. I do shop over at Tesco's. I buy some. If I haven't got some of my chocolate for my chocolate bouquets, I go to Tesco's, and no, Tesco's is fine.
That's it, and that's the way it is. And so amongst you and the other businesses, because obviously this used to be the old Spencer's Mall, didn't it, originally?
Mall, yeah.
So it's nice, and all of them seem to be full. All of the units seem to be full, which is positive. And I suppose in hindsight, you're still part of that high street, because all these little individual shops, are all part of that, aren't they? Well, thank you very much for speaking to me.
That's fine.
And much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you very much.
As previously mentioned, the Anstice has seen the most dramatic changes. In February 2014, the club closed, handing the building to a liquidator. Immediately, local people began campaigning to save the Anstice. Eventually, it was purchased by Madeley Town Council with a view to handing it over to an independent charity. As a listed building, current estimates for its refurbishment run at around £2 million. Currently, the part of the Anstice still in use is used by the community for local projects. Hopefully it will enjoy a brighter future, just like Madeley. During the late 1970s, the new town was well underway. People looking for larger detached homes were invited to take a look at Lees Farm. This housing development was created on the land of the former Lees Farm. The farm was demolished to make way for executive housing. The first developers were Bovis Homes. They won a design competition by the TDC to create iconic energy-saving homes. The site, Glendinning, was built between 1977 and 1979. In 1980, Clark Homes started work on Fairways, a large-scale housing development of 3 and 4 bedroom detached homes. At the time, these were the largest private houses available to purchase in Telford. Clark were joined by Midland and General Homes in 1982. They were building a development called Regency Green. Later, then followed by Carriage Square. The TDC also offered a number of self-build plots at Lee Dingle and Lees Farm Drive. Lees Farm was completed in 1989, taking 12 years in total to build. Next we head to Madeley Court. The Madeley estate was owned by Wenlock Priory, headed then by John Bailey, the last prior of Madeley. He surrendered the priory and its estate to the commissioners of Henry III in 1540 on the dissolution of the monasteries. John Bailey was allowed to remain at Madeley estate until his death in 1554. Robert Brooke took ownership in 1544, 10 years earlier. The Brooke family were the lords of the manor of Madeley. The mystical windmill, located off the Silkin Way at Madeley Court, has often fascinated local people. No one is quite sure how old the mill is, but the then nearby windmill farm dates from 1752. This empty shell is 3 stories high with fireplaces and double doors, and would have sat alongside the windmill incline plane. Rumour has it that if you run around the windmill 5 times, you'll be greeted by a headless monk. The windmill is now used as a bat sanctuary. Robert Brooke became a Speaker in the House of Commons and Chief Justice for Common Pleas. He purchased the manor from Wenlock Priory in 1544 for £946. The house was built from locally quarried stone. The walled garden contains an unusual astronomical toy. It was a large square block of stone with spherical cutouts. It is thought to be an eccentric sundial. Abraham Darby III rented part of the house from 1711 until his death in 1717. It was then leased to tenant farmers such as James Foster from Stourbridge, who came to mine in the area. James Foster planned to return Madeley Court to its former glory. In fact, it declined even further during his ownership. In 1880, the house was near completely derelict. The estate was then sold to Joseph Barnett in 1919. The Barnett family were local farmers. It was finally sold to the Redevelopment Corporation with the coming of the new town. In 1973, the TDC set out to restore Madeley Court, but only succeeded in making the structure safe and waterproof. In 2007, Madeley Court was sold to a hotel group, and they set about converting the manor into a leading wedding venue with 49 ensuite bedrooms. This was overseen by the world-famous architect Jim Roberts, known for the Rotunda at the Bullring in Birmingham and the Radio City Tower in Liverpool. His work on Madeley Court earned him a Civic Trust Award. The building of a new town requires schools and leisure facilities, the most famous being the Merc, Madeley Educational Recreational Centre. Opened in 1971, the Merc was 56 acres in total, comprising of a comprehensive school and a leisure centre including a swimming pool. Also, outdoor recreation areas were constructed, including running tracks, football fields, a bowling green and a gymnasium. A bar and social club were also built, as well as a groundbreaking new dry ski slope, the first in Shropshire. This dry ski slope opened in 1974. It was all affectionately known as Madeley Court, although the rear Madeley Court was the manor house.
Peter, I find it hard to believe this is a ski slope. Well, see it in a year's time when we hope you'll see the finished article. It's an artificial one, of course. It is artificial. It will have an artificial surface. There's 980 square yards of it, split up into nursery, intermediate and first-class grades. Well, of course, this is only one of many facilities you provide here at Madeley Court. Can you tell me about the others? Yes, well, in the main, we have the normal field sports, football, hockey, rugby, with roller skating, tennis, bowls, outside. And then inside we have a games hall, a gymnasium and a swimming pool. What we've tried to do at Telford is to develop a pattern
of recreation, of leisure facilities for the whole town. And the basis of these are the new sports and social centres, which, with the local authorities, we shall be developing all over the new town. Already 4 of these centres are either built like Madeley Court or in programme.
In 1972, the population of Telford had reached 87,000. The court centre served South Telford's leisure requirements. Early in the new millennium, changes in education saw Madeley Court School evolve into an academy. It became clear that the building was not fit for purpose. It was decided that a new state-of-the-art school was to be built just the other side of Madeley Court. This is now called the Madeley Academy. The school offers 900 places for ages 11 to 16. It is also a specialist sports college. Demolition began on the whole site in 2009. The swimming pool was moved to the nearby Abraham Darby School along with a new leisure centre. The former Madeley Court site lay vacant for a number of years until the site was purchased for a retail park and residential housing. Work started on Miners Walk by New Place. This development consists of 53 new homes, all entirely for the rental market. In 2018, you can rent a 2-bedroom home for £600 a calendar month or a 3-bedroomed home for £675 a calendar month. A world of difference from the purchase price of £947 that Robert Buck paid for Madeley Court centuries earlier. Miners' Walk is a small part of a much larger regeneration of Madeley Court. The former running track and sports courts are now home to a new retail development featuring 1,600 square feet Aldi supermarket as well as a Lidl and a KFC. Other proposed retail units are coming soon. Madeley Court is a great example of Telford and Wrekin Council's commitment to deliver a vibrant town and reuse brownfield sites. This is the story to date of Madeley.
Thank you for watching. I hope you join us next time for the next instalment of Telford, the New Town.